morning. Welcome to another edition of The Associated Guest. Today on Wednesday, I am your host, as always, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, we have Twitch CEO Dan Clancy blames Emiru for her own assault, apparently. I haven't seen anything about this, but I do love the reportings of Vera Dark. Overlord DVD says Lord of the Rings is racist, claims by a UK professor. I've seen a few headlines about this one. Bloodlines 2 apparently getting demolished, and then a nice, shocking new video of Hasan Diddy Bin Laden Piker. Let's get into it with Miss Vera Dark.
The way Twitch is acting towards the Emiru assault is absolutely abhorrent. They are not responding in a professional manner. The CEO truly does deserve to get fired, and now she's coming out saying that they were laughing and joking about the incident. We have Asmongold putting them on blast, and the Twitch CEO alluded to it being her fault.
Also, on top of all the rest of this, so Dan Clancy was recently confronted, or there was a Q&A, I guess, and a veteran who streams on Twitch, an Army veteran, said that, the military members are a protected class, and why is it that people can get banned for weeks? I think one person was even banned for a month for calling someone fat. But Hasan Diddy Bin Laden Piker, nothing happens to him for saying that America deserved 9/11, which, fine. But then Frogan said that I hope everyone from 9/11 has PTSD, and everyone who ever served in the U.S. military has PTSD. She could care less. And then she later commented on her own post and said based, and gave a snarky little grin. All the people in Hasan's little orbit are just bad people. There's no way around it. They all are. And I almost feel bad for Hasan, because I really think that he is controlled. I see Hasan the same way I see PC Principal from South Park. I don't think he actually believes in anything. I think he just believes in poon. I'm sorry, getting laid. That seems to be the only thing that drives him. He seems to be surrounded by porn stars and internet thoughts, which is fine. Do your thing, bro. But you're getting toward 40 now. Just saying. But, I mean, hey, there's always Taylor Lorenz, right? But anyway, moving on.
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, this is an absolutely terrible situation, and she said it herself. It could have turned out to be significantly worse. She could have been killed, which would have been absolutely heartbreaking. But luckily, right, that didn't happen. And luckily, she was able to get out of that situation safely, even if she is going through a lot of emotional turmoil right now, which is
thanks to having her own security, minus the one that got banned last year for protecting her. And I'm pretty sure, given everything that's happening, if Dan Clancy bans the person who thwarted the attack this time, he's definitely done. That's it. Scorched earth.
Completely valid, but the way Twitch is handling this situation is absolutely disgusting. They are not taking this seriously. The CEO has been partying. Apparently, Twitch security were laughing about the situation, and they are on blast. So let's start out with this. She had called out the security at TwitchCon for joking and laughing about the incident. She said, "My friend who was present told me Twitch security were also behind the booth afterwards, joking about how they didn't even see what happened and immediately laughing and moving on to talking about something else. So if anyone was checking if I was okay or if I needed anything and they let the guy run away initially, I have no idea what anyone hired to keep the event safe was doing." That is crazy that he wasn't instantly taken behind the scenes so that the police could handle him. I know she has said that she is pressing charges, which is great. I hope that she sues the hell out of Twitch, and I don't see a way that this platform could...
No, definitely go all the way, girl. I know for a fact that you'll have a lot of support. I know that Nux and Tectone and a lot of other people who have been unfairly scorned by Twitch and Dan Clancy specifically and the Diddy Bin Laden Piker crew, you'll have a lot of support. I promise you. So go ahead with it.
Survive. We've known that this platform is not profitable. Amazon is continuously propping them up, so they're not making money. They're facing major controversies with people like Hasan, the fetish,
which is another thing that I don't understand. Why you see this a lot in movies and video games lately? People will throw a bunch of money at something that will not make money. They'll literally rely on, well, maybe not in this case, but a lot of the times they'll rely on IP and just assume that people will come to watch it because eat the slop. And they'll make the shittiest movie ever and just expect people to watch it and then make fun of their audience for not wanting the shitty thing that they've presented us. It's weird. But Twitch is similar. Twitch just kowtows to people like Hasan Piker, and the Twitch isn't making any money. It's ridiculous. They'll save this person's life. I get recommended Hasan all the time, and I don't watch anything that would even suggest that I would want to watch Hasan Diddy Bin Laden Piker, the communist with the Gucci bag.
Streamers being allowed to run rampant on their platform, then an assault occurring and them not taking it seriously. I mean, we're talking about problem after problem after problem. It says in Twitch's statement, they said that the guy was immediately caught and detained, but that was a blatant lie. He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me, and I felt like that only happened because of my manager pressing for it, which is wild. Now we also have the CEO, Dan Clancy, who is so out of touch, saying, you know, we're looking very closely at everything that's happened there, and I care deeply about Emmy. She's a friend of mine, but it's even worse than that.
Challenge we face is a challenge in today's society. It's not limited to Twitch. It extends throughout our society. I do think that when you're live streaming, in many ways, since you control your community and you can ban people, you can make it so that those people that you don't want engaging with you and participating with you aren't there, okay?
But we're not talking about a live stream. We're talking about someone being assaulted at one of your events. And sure, he starts off with saying there's a big problem in society, and I'm sure he's talking about parasocial relationships, but at the same time, why would you then follow it up with, oh, when you're live streaming, you are in control of your audience? It makes it sound like he is blaming her for the fact that this individual was part of her audience. That is absolutely disgusting, and I'm clearly not the only one who took it this way. Now, maybe this wasn't how he intended it to sound, but this is the way that it sounded. No way he just blamed it on not blocking and banning individuals. Who's to say this person ever even typed in chat to raise a red flag in the first place? Weird, the streamer are his friends. That's conflict of interest also means he's a crappy friend. Oh, okay, cool. So he basically just said it's her fault for making her community that way. No friend would have let her assaulter walk free. Step down. For those at TwitchCon, they did bring up the fact that there were several Q&As, and the Q&A didn't go the way that he probably anticipated. There were a lot of people really grilling him, and of course he beat around the bush for most of the questions. I do not watch Emiru, and obviously I'm not a fan of her. However, the fact that the CEO says essentially that it's her fault that her community is like that is baffling, because she doesn't have control over everyone in her audience, which of course I completely agree with. As a content creator, we cannot control our audiences. We cannot control who comes into a live stream, who chats, unless we are talking about banning somebody. But even then, we can't control who is watching. Anybody could watch even if they are banned. And there are times where, yeah, sure, somebody's audience is a little bit out of control. Maybe they have what individuals would deem as a toxic audience. But at the same time, you can't control who even goes to one of these types of events. Putting the blame on her is wild, and I know Asmongold also grilled Twitch, which I'm so happy to see that so many people are speaking up, because I also am not a...
Which, Asmongold, he's the only person who's got any kind of bravery in this. I mean, I know he has a following on YouTube, mostly with his clips and such, but Asmongold, I'm pretty sure his bread and butter comes from Twitch. He's primarily a Twitch streamer. I mean, he could just as easily go to Kick, But that's where he is. That's where his fans are. So when you speak out against the platform that is your main sustenance, I mean, it's not like super brave, but it's braver than most of these people.
Like, big fan of Emiru. I've never really watched her content. Of course, I know who she is. But at the same time, all of this needs to be called out because it is extremely worrying. Asmongold goes further than security failures and inadequate responses when he calls out Twitch. He lists problems with advertising, moderation, and at the executive level, with issues only being resolved when Amazon, Twitch's parent company, gets involved. He also cites the downward trend in Twitch watch time since the beginning of 2025, despite some big events that were streamed. He also says that Twitch now puts certain basic elements of viewing a stream behind a paywall, including rewinding a video without opening up a second page. He then claims that many small channels have been severely harmed in the name of stopping view botting. And to make this even worse, apparently there was a major situation last year where 2 male streamers were assailed. A Kick streamer named DBR666 ran up to them, licking one of their nipples and kissing the other's hand, with both men telling the person to stop. Security eventually removed the Kick streamer, but Twitch otherwise ignored the incident, which I had never heard of. So it seems that there wasn't a lot of like social media coverage on this, which is absolutely insane. You would have thought that that would have been a wake-up call, and that all of the political assassinations and attacks that are going on would be a wake-up call for all of these large companies. They wouldn't send a Jeff Bezos to an event like this. And while sure, we're just talking about streamers, you need to treat them all as public figures, and there needs to be protection for any content creator.
That and on top of that, like, I know that's Kick versus Twitch, but I've seen a lot of Twitch streamers call for the murder of the CEO of Kick. I can't remember the name of it, but I saw that yesterday. I think in a Nux video. I should cue that up at some point. I might play that tomorrow.
Going to these events, but they're not taking these issues seriously, which is so frustrating. This is a big reason why there are a lot of content creators who don't go to events. And it's sad that we can't go and engage with the good members of our audience because it could put us in danger. And with Emiru, I'm sure that she's going through a lot of emotional turmoil right now, but I hope all of the coverage that this event is getting and all of the people calling out the platform makes her feel a little bit better, that people are taking this seriously and are definitely willing to call out Twitch and all of their problems. And Dan Clancy going to an after event and dancing with a lady and flipping her, and I think that he was drunk and just not taking the situation as seriously as it actually is. Of course, they are going to want to try to sweep this under the rug, and we'll have to see if she ends up suing, if there's any kind of legal course of action, if at the next events Twitch actually takes situations like this seriously and
which they won't.
Tries to create a safer environment for their streamers, but things are not looking good for them. And it seems that the CEO is almost blaming her for not controlling her audience, and they are getting raked across the coals. But
plus he banned her main security guy the previous year.
That's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your...
No, I know I've been talking a lot about Twitch and Hasan Diddy Bin Laden Piker and all that. It's just frustrating. Mostly because I just got monetized on Twitch. And I only post video game content over there. But no, it's obnoxious seeing all these streamers and such that I got a lot of respect for getting banned or pretty much anything for nothing, while people like Hasan Piker and Frogan and Denims and all these other people are allowed to just have free reign. And I can't remember the name of the guy who called for the death of the Kick CEO. They get away with almost murder, not quite murder, but I'm sure it'll be there eventually. But nothing ever happens, and it's something's got to give. It'll probably end up being Twitch being dissolved or bought by Elon Musk. That would be hilarious if Elon Musk ended up buying Twitch and fusing it with X. You'd probably see me on X even more than I already am. But anyway, continuing to Lord Doomcock.
My friends, this is a great time to become a channel member. Every week now I'm posting uncensored videos exclusively for my channel members, along with custom emojis and live streams for members at the Arch-Villain level where you get to talk to me directly. In the video description as well. Thanks for watching, my friends, and now on to the video.
I really gotta start queuing these up.
Folks, why is the world going crazy? It's like someone flipped a crazy switch in some master control room somewhere, and for the last decade or so, the world has gotten volatile, polarized, and divided to the point where people are seeing the craziest things in the most unexpected places.
Well, I mean, if you look for something, you're gonna find it no matter what, especially if you make it your life's ambition. So if you look for racism, especially if you're a bored upper to upper middle class white person who's ashamed of daddy's money but isn't afraid to spend it.
Case in point, fantasy novels. Novels set outside of our world, in exotic places like Middle-earth and Narnia. These novels are allegorical things, dealing broadly in symbolic language and images that are meant to get at fundamental truths of existence. And yet, there are political radicals out there in these modern times who insist on looking at these metaphorical works of fiction literally, injecting real-world concerns and politics into these fictional worlds and making themselves look like silly assholes. Case in point, a UK university course accusing Lord of the Rings of being racist. Now, I know that woke wankers have been bitching about this silly take on Tolkien for years, but according to the Daily Mail now, they're actually teaching this wacky crap at university, brainwashing students in the hopes of perpetuating this pernicious myth. In an article titled, "Now Lord of the Rings is Racist, Woke University Says J.R.R. Tolkien Demonizes People of Color," they lay out the basics of the matter. Quote, "A woke university is telling students that J.R.R. Tolkien demonizes people of color in the Lord of the Rings books, according to reports. A history module called Decolonizing Tolkien et al., taught at the University of Nottingham, says a text that says orcs and other dark-skinned characters in the best-selling trilogy are the victims of ethnic chauvinism," unquote.
Orcs, at least Uruk-hai, are literally bred for evil. These are just facts. I don't remember enough to tell you the difference, like what if orcs are that way, but I know for a fact the Uruk-hai were bred specifically for war and evil.
Nottingham, eh? Well, well. Looks like the sheriff of Nottingham has given up.
Like they do in like they don't have families like they do in Rings of Power.
Arresting Robin Hood and is now looking to arrest racism. Problem is, this idea is completely stupid, and he's trying to arrest a phantom. Can you explain exactly how a fantasy novel with fantasy races can be racist in the real world?
No, I can't explain.
If you look at the orcs and Uruk-hai as as anything other than that, you might be a little racist yourself. Like, I've never looked at orcs or Uruk-hai or anything like that and seen black people or any other race. I've just seen orcs or Uruk-hai. That's baffling. This is one thing that I've noticed a lot with the left, the hard left, not most liberals, but like they're very racist and all they see is racist shit. So they try to project that onto other people by saying that all these things that other people love are racist because all they can see is their own racist worldview.
That RV Cthulhu, I think it's idiotic myself, being a simple country supervillain, and yet, in this article, they try to explain this particular slice of academic idiocy. Quote, "The historian who leads the module, Dr. Onyeka Nubia, argues that Eastern races in the fantasy novel are depicted as evil, while fairer-skinned peoples of the West are shown as virtuous. In academia, decolonizing usually refers to moving...
Mankind isn't seen as virtuous. They're seen as very troubled, especially when in contact with the rings of power. Especially the One Ring.
Away from a white, Western-centric worldview. In the module's key text, Dr. Onyeka writes that maligned peoples include Easterlings, Southrons, and men from Harad. The trilogy also features the dark-skinned orcs, evil creatures that do the bidding of Sauron, known as the Dark Lord, unquote.
So, basically, this guy doesn't understand elementary metaphor in fantasy fiction. The Dark Lord, dark-skinned orcs, these things have absolutely nothing to do with skin color. I understand that people obsessed with race, who are building their careers on seeing racism everywhere, are going to say stuff like this, but this Nubia guy is superimposing his own obsessions on Tolkien's work.
Yeah.
I mean, Sauron doesn't even have skin.
Once again, you're spot on, Harvey Cthulhu. Folks, remember the old westerns back in the days of black and white movies? You had the good guys in white hats, and you had the bad guys in black hats. Again, that had nothing to do with race at the time. It had to do with the age-old comparison of light and dark, black and white, as symbols of good and evil. It's incredibly basic, symbolic, and rooted in the idea of duality. Even in the Taoist symbol of yin-yang, you have black and white in balance, suggesting different energies that make up our world. Light has always been associated with good, darkness with evil, probably going back to caveman days when nights were filled with the terror of prowling nocturnal predators.
Exactly. That's where most of it comes from, because especially in the Eastern religions that know or have created the idea of yin-yang, they didn't really come across... I mean, they themselves have various skin tones, depending on where in Eastern Asia they're from, but none of it had to do with good or evil. Except for the fact that all those countries have always hated each other. But anyway, moving on.
Night was more dangerous than day to early humans, and so that association was deeply ingrained in our species, and it survives today not due to racism, but due to fundamental human perception and the history of our species. It's just an unfortunate accident that people of color have darker skin. But some academics and agitators either don't see it that way or feed into this discrimination narrative for their own ends. The article continues regarding this course, quote, it adds that Tolkien's treatment of the fictional races participates in a tradition of anti-African antipathy in which people from Africa are depicted as the natural enemy of the white man. The module also explores racial issues in C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, unquote.
Funny, I don't seem to recall Africa existing in Middle-earth or in Narnia. So how exactly is there anti-African antipathy in any of those works? Lord of the Rings is entirely set in a fictional world, a heavily symbolic parable about good and evil, light and dark, with some races aligned with evil being dark, just like bad cowboys used to wear black hats. If you see racism in this basic symbolism, perhaps it's coming from you rather than the work.
Precisely spot on, O Skull of Calderon. A lot of these woke academics are concerned with these issues because woke academics gotta eat. They gotta get students. They gotta get their courses up and running. I don't know if they willfully miss the point of these works or if they're just so obsessed with these issues they see the entire world through this prism constantly and relentlessly, but either way, it's just sad.
It really is.
All I know is seeing everything through one narrow tunnel ignores the larger richness of human experience, and so it becomes part of the problem. It sows dissension and propaganda and ironically further divides people along racial lines by constantly calling out the racial lines, making certain by this attention that these divides never heal. I guess that's good for their business models, but it's not very good at all for the rest of the world. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding.
And you keep seeing shit like this. People will try to dismantle works of fiction. You see this everywhere. I've seen people say that Darth Vader was portrayed as a black man because he had a black costume with James Earl Jones's voice. And he was a bad guy. And then when they took his mask off and, I quote, showed his white-ass face, he was suddenly good. No, he was a white dude the whole time, even when he was evil. Because white people, like anybody, can be evil or good or neutral or fat and corroded like Darth Vader was underneath his armor. I'll never understand a lot of these arguments, but it's not really for me to understand, I suppose. As a great philosopher, Forrest Gump once said, stupid is as stupid does. I guess. Okay.
You all, my friends.
Vampire the Masquerade fans have gotten out.
Okay, so I really loved the original game. I know it wasn't a great game, but I used to play Vampire the Masquerade with a bunch of people at a gay bar. Well, an adjacent business that was owned by the same person as the gay bar, so a lot of people from the gay bar came over and played Vampire the Masquerade. This was probably like 25 years ago. It was a lot of fun. I missed that whole group that I played with. I hope they're okay. But anyway, so later came a game, and I played it for nostalgia's sake. It wasn't a great game, but I still loved it because it reminded me of that group of people. And here comes a sequel, and I might still play it for nostalgia's sake, but everything I've heard of it so far,
Vampire the Masquerade fans have gotten absolutely screwed over. The TTRPG was great, the 2004 game was great, and it seemed like this series had massive potential, but they completely squandered it. Now that Bloodlines 2's release is right around the corner, the critics are saying it is god-awful, so I'm sure the gamers are going to hate it. It's being described as theater kid slop, and after the $30 day one DLC,
hold on.
the $30 being described as theater kid slop, and after it's being described.
Hold on. She's trying to say theater kids. Let's play it one more time. I love you, Vera. I'm sorry. I'm just playing. But here you go.
As theater kid slop, and after the $30 day one DLC
I've got a
situation.
I'm sorry. I got a really bad speech impediment too. That's why I do all the voices. And this isn't my actual speaking voice. As you can see, I fade in and out of a few the whole time that I'm on here. But yeah, it's just I apologize. She seems like a sweet lady, but I've got my things too. I actually have a wicked stutter, but here we go.
And pre-orders tanking because of that. It seems like they are in for a flop. And after the $30 day one DLC, are going to hate it. It's being described as theater kid slop. And after the $30 day one DLC situation and pre-orders tanking because of that, it seems like they are in for a disaster. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I am so sad.
Y'all do make sure you get over and support, especially sweet, lovely Vera, and then, of course, sweet, lovely Overlord DVD. They put out great content, especially Vera. She puts out 2-3 new shows a day, and I'm pretty sure she has a podcast with some other grumpy fellow. But let's continue.
To see this happen, because this is a game people have been waiting so long for, decades for at this point, and it had a heck of a lot of potential, but it seems that the people on this game didn't really know what to do with it. Over the years, we've heard that it was in development, and then it was out of development, and then they restarted development, and now we're getting a puzzle that the pieces do not fit together with. They're crammed together, and Bloodlines 2's reviews are out, and I, of course, always say do not trust critics, take everything they say with a grain of salt, but they are absolutely annihilating it. Right now, it is sitting at a 64 with 21 critic reviews. And I do not think that the user scores are going to be much more positive than that. There are some critics saying, oh, it's pretty good, but the highest scores are 80s, and very quickly you can see where things start to go wrong. Some of the lowest scores are 30s. Games Radar said Bloodlines 2 is the definition of a crying shame. Clumsy writing and flat, repetitive world design expose a handful of good ideas that never take root, while its poor technical quality and unstable performance will render it unplayable for some. The result is a half-baked, blunt-toothed action mystery hybrid that disappoints at every turn. A cobbled-together walking simulator with a dead world and poorly paced linear narrative that's unconvincingly pretending to be an action RPG. This game to me, and apparently to other people, because I also saw some people saying the same, it seems like a Saints Row reboot situation where you've waited so long, you expected it to be good, maybe not the highest level of quality, maybe not, $200 million budget AAA quality, but you expected it to be decent, and then when you finally get it, it's a major disappointment. I saw this thread that highlighted one of the scenes, which I thought was hilarious. Kyle is saying, utterly embarrassing, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is not only giving Saints Row Reboot a run for its money, it killed Volition. Its mind's eye level of unfinished Dragon Age levels of cringe and $60 sensitive, sanitized theater kid slop. And I'm not going to play this entire clip, but just seeing a little snippet of it tells you, I think, all you need to know about the writing level and also the acting level in this title.
Unsatisfied, the gardener is gone. Your moonflowers are gone, and soon you too will be gone. I will
Oof.
leave you. You, mine, my love.
It's so dramatic, and it's not even like emotionally impactful or intense dramatic. It seems like fan fiction levels of dramatic, like somebody
which is what most stuff these days feels like. It feels like bad fan fiction. This is what happens. Look, they never should have gotten rid of Tumblr, because thanks to them getting rid of Tumblr, all these people from Tumblr who were reassuring each other that they were, their fan fiction was the best fan fiction of all time. Now these people are out there in the world putting their slop on other people's toys. And it's just awful. Look, I know Hollywood's never exactly been quote unquote Shakespeare, as it were, but it's been better than this. And every now and then there will be zingers, and there still are here and there, but I just miss when you were allowed to not like stuff and nobody cared. Like, but you always like this stuff. Yeah, and it sucks now because because people who don't care about it, people who just, like, it's little sister syndrome or little brother syndrome or whatever, where they're like, I want to play with the toys. And then all of a sudden they come in and they want to change all the rules to the game that is, we like it the way it is. And, you make a few bends and breaks here for new people to play or whatever, but then you're just like, no, and I want this, and I want this, and then this happened, and then this, and then I win. And then we get a bunch of shitty writers. And the rest of it's great. Everyone else every now and then you get some really shitty CGI. And this is animated pretty poorly for a modern game, but let's continue.
Often activists got their claws into this game and then said, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to modernize this. This is exactly what people are going to want. And clearly that's not the case. Man, did the first Bloodlines game just captures so many people's attention, and it's so cool and unique. And the TTRPG
I think I still
is
have
so
it. I might
good.
go back and.
But look at these scores for the first one, an 80 critic. I think that's a little low, in my opinion. But the user ratings are an 8.9, definitely up there. Really solid. But then when you compare it to the new one, I mean, it is just dreadful, and I don't see a way that this game is actually going to come out and impress people. And just taking, a peek at Game Informer's article, it says it doesn't live up to the modern standards set by other open world RPGs, but it's still a decent vampire experience. After waiting 15 years, decent isn't what people want. Well, really, it's actually 20 years. After waiting that long, decent just doesn't cut the mustard. And we've talked a lot about this game because of the...
Well, and it's the same thing as like Duke Nukem Forever or all these other games that have been in production hell for, God, at least a decade. And then it gets here, and it's just not what it used to be. Like, the Duke didn't hit the same that far away from the 90s. Same can be said for Bloodlines here.
$30 day one DLC. They were going to be paywalling clans, which I know they went back on. They said, we're not going to do that, but I still think it is ridiculous they were going to. In the first place, they thought that they could scam people out of their money, which is just such an insult and really just makes me not even want to buy it day one. But you also have them modernizing this title. The androgynous character designs are absolutely terrible. It does seem that they leaned very heavily into diversifying the mobs and DEI-ifying this game. They really decided to put diversity first, and hey, I'm perfectly fine with there being diversity in video games. Do not get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying I only want normal white people to be in it, but I want unique characters who feel intentional and not like they were just put into the game in order to check off boxes on a checklist, which is...
And that's what most people have problems with. Yes, there will always be people who just, like my cousin's soon-to-be ex-husband, he's one of the staunch anti-woke people who now, since the woke thing's been crammed down everyone's throat so much, now a bunch of stupid kids are seeing it all diversity is DEI or woke or whatever. And I'm just like, no, that's just Black Panther. He's existed for a long time. You're just an idiot who doesn't care. You're literally the same thing for the other side as the thing that you're complaining about. That's literally it. And you'll see this a lot, but most people don't care if it's included, just as long as, and it's my rule, if you hear about someone's race, gender, sexuality, etc., before you've heard anything about the plot, gameplay, if it's a game, any innovations, the time period, if it's a franchise, then it's going to suck. And they're just using the people they claim to want to lift up. They're lifting them up okay in front of them to absorb all damage and ridicule from the fan base. And that's it. They're just using them as human shields. They don't care. As shown by how quickly everyone flipped when Trump came in office and got his quote-unquote mandate. But let's continue.
Is the way I certainly feel about it at this point, and it's just so sad that we've gotten such a low level of quality here, and there's tons of gamers saying this looks horrendous. Too bad the setting had massive potential. Another one for the DEI detected list, people pointing and laughing, showing how bad the animations are. Never forget what they took from us. Absolutely pretty women. Harley Quinn as design here. I've always loved this design. The weird and unfinished way characters moved and talked in the trailers was a pretty good early warning flag. These character animations are so bad. This looks awful. Original Bloodlines game looked better 20 years ago. Is this a stop motion movie? Thank God another pre-order I canceled, and that's why I always say do not pre-order, especially when we're talking about a situation like this where people were fans of a game, it became a cult classic, and then 20 years later, they're making a follow-up because it's never the same team. It's never the same writers or voice actors. It's not the same visionaries. It's completely new teams who were not probably able to capture the magic of the original, and they definitely didn't in this case. Look how they massacred my boy. Theater kid slop is exactly their demographic. Legitimately, what did we expect? It looks...
And I will say, pre-order physical copies, or pre-order games that you, if there's a way to return or cancel. Because at the same time, I want them to think that there's still a drive and a need and a necessity for these games until we find out that they're shit, and then just hand them back. I'm pretty sure, don't they still have it to where as long as you don't play past a certain amount of time, you can still get your money back? I can't remember if that's still going on, but I hope it is.
It's like Robot Chicken a bit. What is that cartoonishly lunging at his crotch? What the hell? How do you not know how to animate one character carrying another in their arms? Literally every single game that's released this year wasn't even worth playing, which I completely disagree with. Silk Song, Expedition 33, Ninja Gaiden Rangebound, Ninja Gaiden 4, I'm sure is going to be amazing. There's a lot of really fantastic titles that have released, but then you see ones like this that you've been waiting decades for, and it's just so sad. So I will be covering this game again in the future, I'm certain, but right now things are not looking good for this team. We know that pre-orders were canceled en masse because of the DLC situation. I think the people that canceled their pre-orders are deciding to wait until it releases before they purchase a copy, so those numbers aren't good. We're seeing more gameplay. It looks horrendous. Even the critics are saying it's bad, and I have a feeling this is going to be a game that completely and utterly fails. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.
Okay, so this is the electrifying, shocking new video from Hasan Titty Piker. I saw a clip of this the other day on Nux's channel, so I had to include it here as a nice little send off. It's been a very serious week, and I need something to shock me, shock my system, and back into the more laughing sort of person that I normally tend to be. So here we go. This is, I think, Shock Jock from Gucci Marks.
Gucci Marks generated this shit.
Yeah, shock, shot my dog, I can't stop. Yeah, shock, shot my dog until she drops. Shock, 2,000 volts straight in her top. Shock, cause my dog can't stay in her spot. Yeah, shock, got this remote on me like in my Glock. Shock, if Kaya tried to move, she out of love. Shock, she better know I don't give a fuck. She's getting off her place, she's getting strong. Shock, gotta stay in that little place for 8 hours. Shock, she getting up, I can't allow her. She my Palestine, I got the power. I'm in my electric ivory tower. Why she act like such a baby? When I shock her, she go crazy. Making me look bad on the stream. Gonna hit her with my power beam. I don't know why that stupid dog G up.
I don't think this is the one that I saw.
She should know better not to call for help.
This one's not too bad. The lip sync.
Cause you already know where my stream is. Shock. I do some shit that would get me banned. Shock. Don't you know how much money I spent? Shock. That dog costs more than your mama rent. Shock. I got the most expensive breed. Shock. You know that's the one I need. Shock. That stupid dog is so spoiled. Shock. Yeah, one more time she getting boiled. Shock. Moving with my dog to China.
What the fuck?
I'll lead her up, goodbye to Kaya.
Okay, so yeah, go see Gucci Marks. Show him some love. The man's got almost 11,000 subscribers. This has 40,000 likes. I'm going to give that a like. Good job, bro. It's got 334,000 views. Wow. Remember, if this gets strike, then it's canon. She my Palestine, I got the power. It is. That was a very diabolical bar, I gotta say. There were a few good bars in here. The comments are pretty much saying similar. All right. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to get into my just in case video, but guys, I very much appreciate it. Sorry I got on a little late. As always, I signed on and my kick wasn't signing into, it wasn't meshing with Streamlabs. Apologies to the couple of people that are still here, but I very much appreciate everyone who comes through here. I'm trying to keep consistent. I'm still in the works for a few things. I'm working on it. I am going to do probably Halloween weekend. I know some of it's November, but Halloween weekend and Halloween day, or at least that night maybe, I'm going to stream a bit. Definitely on that Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to stream whatever I haven't finished of Outlast. I'll probably break it up in a few parts just to make it more consumable. But again, sorry I haven't got on the game this week. Again, I went out of town for family, and when I got back, I was exhausted. I'm still exhausted. My family's exhausting. But I want to thank everybody who watches, everyone who likes. Please drop a like. Please follow over on Rumble so I can start streaming over there. Expand my reach, my clutches. But yeah, I very much appreciate every single person who comes in through here. If you got a dream, don't let it be a dream. Get out there and do it. If you can't do it, figure out how to do it. Or realize your limitations and, customize your dream to what you can do, even after some education. But that's what I've been doing. It's a lot harder because I'm old, but I'm still trying. You guys, get out there and at least try. Failure is not bad. It means you're trying. Nobody ever gets it on the first time. I mean, a few people do, but those people are weird. Elon Musk is autistic. I don't know if his parents had Tylenol, but I'm pretty sure that's why he was pushing for it. But anyway,